Hi folks, I just wanted to give you a bit of a summary of the sorts of things that you can use Unifrog for. It's a really good bit of kind of resource for you to use, and there's lots of things that you can do by yourself. There will be things that we set for you to do, but there is also lots of things that you can explore by yourself. So there's lots of different tasks that they suggest that you do, and there's a summary page at the front when you first logged in using your school email address, and it gives you a percentage of how many of the kind of total things you have completed, and then it ranks you compared to the whole year group about kind of where you sit of how much stuff you have kind of completed of the tasks. So when we set you a piece of work, that will appear here with like the date that it's due in, but there's lots of things that you can do by yourself. So there's a couple of different ways you can get to these sorts of things. You can see all your tasks. These are all the things that Unifrog suggest that you do, or that you have a think about, or that you research. And anything that has this kind of like light green type text, it is hyperlinked into like the next thing that you can try. So some of the things I'm going to show you, like how to record activities and competencies, etc. And then there's some things like start your CV is something that we would like you to try. So this is structured so that you can start adding information. So when you click on these sections, it gives you some guidance about the kind of information that you should include, how you can introduce yourself, what things you're good at. And so you'll notice this term competencies, and it tells you here that on the 22nd of February, I've put problem solving is one of my competencies. And that's because that links to another task that they suggest that you have a look at, which is start to record your competencies. And if you look on here, you can add things that you're good at. So for example, problem solving, you could say what you have done in terms of carrying out a plan to solve a complex challenge, or used a methodical approach to evaluate potential solutions. This could be something that you've done at school. It could be something that you've done out of school, so something that's entirely extracurricular. So D&V, for example, if you've got a job, if you have responsibility in your family, if there's additional reading that you've done that helps you reach this competency, and then you can use these examples in things like applications and your CV and things like that. So being able to look at this drop down tasks gives you lots of ideas of things that you could do. Some things like start your personal statement, you don't need to do just yet. So that's to do with university applications, and we will do more about that. We will help guide you through that process at the end of year 12 and then in year 13. You can start having a look at some university things now, but it's not essential to start this. It's more having a look at these kind of activities and competencies now. You can find the rest of this information and these great bits here as well. So again, we've already talked about the interest profile and the personality profile, but it's worth having a go at those. You've then got the careers library, where you can look at specific careers, and there's two main ways that you can do it. One way is by looking at a keyword. So here I've already put in engineer. Now this bit could potentially be a bit confusing for you, because you put in engineer and the first thing that comes up is arts and media, and you might think that's got nothing to do with engineering. Now it does still have to do with engineering, so product design. Lots of people who want or think if they want to go into engineering also do product design, and that could be something that you're interested in. So it does it in alphabetical order from these sectors at the top. So if I click manufacturing and engineering, it takes me down to the bottom, which then it brings me to more of the careers that I might have expected. So this can give you lots of information. If you want to perhaps look at aerospace engineering, you can click on a profile and it gives you skills that are essential, the sort of like thing that you'll be doing in that sort of career, how you can get to that point. It then links to university subject profiles, so you can click through to those and have a look, hear from someone who's studying this, how you get in, where you need to go, the sorts of things that you can kind of read about, which might give you a bit of deeper understanding about it. What you'll see is there's lots of these areas that link together on Unifrog, and it's really good for having all of these resources that you can access in lots of different ways. So the good thing about this is you might think, I want to go into engineering, but actually there's lots of other jobs that are related to engineering, or that maybe are good and have the same sort of skill sets as engineering, but that you might not have ever heard of before. So it is worth, even if you think, oh, I want to click this manufacturing and engineering section, it is worth kind of having a scroll through. So non-destructive testing technicians, I know for a fact that that Rolls-Royce have degree apprenticeships in non-destructive testing. We've had students who've gone on to do that degree apprenticeship in the past, and it looks like a fantastic opportunity. But that's maybe something that if you were looking at engineering that you might not think about, but is something that would fit into a similar sort of category. So that's one way that you can look at some careers, is by looking at the keywords. The other way is to put in your school subjects. So let's say, for example, I was doing Spanish psychology and English literature. It then comes up with suggestions of things that I might be interested in doing with that combination of subjects. And so they'll think about the skills that are kind of crossovers with those, what people might have done previously with that mix of subjects. And there is quite a range of different things that we've got here. And it goes from there being a close match, so using all of the subjects, and then a medium match, and then a tenuous match, I think was the third one, where it's going a bit further away from the subjects that you have particularly picked. So that's the careers library. There's also a subjects library where you can again look at what's available using your school subject. So this would be for like maybe university courses, higher education, and so you can have a look at the guide for that subject. Again, so I showed you this a little bit with the aerospace engineering, but it tells you about a bit of a profile about the subject, what you need to do to get in. So some tips and some open day information. The other thing that might be useful is, particularly if it's a subject that you're not sure about, so languages, linguistics and comparative literature, you might not have heard of that sort of thing before. So this would give you a really good overview of lots of different subjects that are available that perhaps you've not heard of before. The Knowhow library is really helpful because there's lots of different skills that you can apply, like you can look at. So for example, if we go down here, you can look at sort of the UK universities, and it comes up with lots of different ideas. So we'll be using this more when we're starting to apply for university. But if you look on the world of work, there's lots of different kind of guides of how to apply for jobs, how to decide on a career path, for example, and some of them are sector specific, so how to get into the UK police. But this is really good, you know, even if you're looking for a part-time job, you know, being able to write an application, being able to write a good CV and that sort of thing is all really, really helpful. So being able to look at these guides is something that is worth looking at. And there is guides in here about work experience as well. So a guide to work experience, it's worth having a look through here, telling you a bit about how to find some work experience, the kind of places that you might want to have a look at. So we obviously know that, you know, your opportunities for getting some work experience might be variable this year. But it might be that by the time we get to the summer holidays that there are places that are offering a few days of work experience. So it might be something that you want to have a look at to set your applications for either higher education or apprenticeships or work apart from other people's. So there's a couple more sections. MOOCs are massive open open courses, which are available from different universities, they're like short courses, like taster courses often. So you would do these in your own time. You can pick kind of topics that you're interested in, and you can go through and have a look at the courses that are available. They're usually a few hours a week, and they usually run from anywhere from like 5 weeks to 12 weeks. They're usually free. Sometimes you have to pay if you want a certificate at the end of it, but it's a way for you to deepen your understanding of your subjects. But you'd need to be careful that it doesn't clash with your A-level commitments, because ultimately they're the thing that's really important in terms of you getting onto those next steps. But that's something that perhaps you could look at maybe towards the summer holidays. That could be something that you could do to deepen your understanding and help prepare you for your next steps. The webinars are helpful. At the moment, the ones that are coming up are to do with university, but if you scroll all the way down, there's lots of ones that are to do with subjects, and they've just kind of saved them so that you can still access them. You can have a look at the skills that are on there as well, so problem solving skills, etc. So that, like that competencies tab that I showed you earlier, where you can log the competencies, you could have a look at this webinar, and then you could develop something from that so that you can then log that on your competencies. And then this bit, read, watch and listen, is absolutely brilliant. So we've been talking quite a lot about like wider reading, and we often encourage you to do wider reading and to deepen your understanding of your subjects, and so that you can improve your vocabulary and so that you can access higher marks. Well, this is a really fabulous way that you can do that, which it's a really good way for you to kind of favourite things and shortlist them so that you can look back at them later on. So this is quite clever because it's remembered the subjects that I put in previously. So let's keep these subjects for now. And if I press go, then what this does is it comes up with loads of different things that it suggests that I might want to listen to or read or watch. Okay, so this is anything from an article in a magazine to a film to a TED talk, so it's probably 20-minute-ish video or so. Sometimes it's a whole book. But if you scroll down, there's different things that you might want to watch. So let's say, for example, that you wanted to read The Catcher in the Rye. So we go on the profile, it gives you a bit of a kind of blurb about it, and it tells you that there are this, so it's obviously suggested this because of the psychology link. So you could save this to favorites if it was something that you wanted to look at in the future. And there's lots of different things that you can have a look at, and a wide range of things as well, rather than it just being books or just articles or just videos. There's a whole range of different things. So you could set yourself a challenge to experience one new thing a week perhaps, and you could keep a log of that here. That would be something that would be really helpful. So there is a place for you to record all of this, and the reason that I would suggest that you do start to record this is because when you are starting to write application forms, it can be really difficult to sit there and think, oh, when have I given an example of doing this? When have I demonstrated that I can do this skill? When have I shown that I can work as a group? When can, what of extracurricular things have I done? And this would be a really good place for you to be able to just look back at all of that and have a record of it. So for example, if we look on activities, these are just anything, okay? So I could add an activity and I could say that I was helping grandparents and neighbours with shopping during, that's all my characters. So helping my grandparents and their neighbours with their shopping. So I was going to write with during the COVID pandemic, but that's enough. Okay. So then my activity type, I would want to have a scroll down here. So it's not an academic thing, it's an extracurricular thing down here. And so family responsibility, caring for other people is where it would go. Okay. So not only then is there a description of the things that you could do, but write like a boss by following these 5 tips. So does that open under here? Yeah. So this gives you specific example, like ways that you can help write what you need to do. So, and it gives you really great things like, instead of raising money for children in Africa, try, and it gives a specific amount of money, what was bought for it, and exactly where it was that the money was going to. So being able to give detail really shows that you can communicate what it is that you've actually done as well. So the competencies as well, we briefly looked at this earlier because it came up with problem solving. There's lots of different competencies here for you to have a look at, and you can think of specific examples of these. So let's say for presenting, for example, when have you shown particularly strong skills in orally transmitting information or ideas? Maybe that happened in a lesson. Maybe it happened when you had to present something to your tutor group. Maybe you decided that you were going to like volunteer with one of the younger year groups to help organise something, and you had to present some information to them. So lots of different examples of things that you could do, and you can add that information here, and then this just gets logged for you so that you can then use this in applications later on. The more you do on here, the more it's really going to help you when you are applying for an apprenticeship or higher education or a job after you leave us. So it really is worth kind of putting in a little bit of time, like every now and again, and when we ask you to do it in tutor time, so that you can help build up this profile of you, and so that you are able to fill out applications as best you can.